May 3rd, 2023. Belgrade, Serbia. Vladislav Ribnikar Model Elementary School. "13-year-old Kosta Kecmanovic arrived at the school shortly before 8:40 a.m. with 2 firearms and a list of students he wanted dead. First, he shot a security guard and 3 students in the hallway. Then, he walked into a history class where there were 24 students and a teacher and opened fire. Everything happened over the course of a few minutes. 9 students and the security guard lost their lives. The shooting outraged the entire country and led to the Serbia Against Violence protests. Both of Kecmanovic's parents, plus an instructor at the gun range he practiced at, were sentenced to prison. Kecmanovic himself, who was under the age of criminal responsibility in Serbia, was moved to a special institution to await his fate. While all this was happening, something surreal and disturbing was taking shape online. This is Mara Angelkovic. Allegedly, her name was on Kecmanovic's list, and she was one of the first students he shot in the classroom on May 3rd. She would die 3 days later, on May 5th, 2023. And this is a Facebook profile in her name, with activity in 2025. Someone is pretending to be her, and posting tributes to the boy who killed her. Some of the photos look real, but the latest profile pictures look like they're AI because the glasses are blending into the face. Each post also had dozens of likes and comments complimenting her appearance or how sweet she was. Remember, all of this is happening almost 2 years later on an account that is impersonating the victim. 2 things about the comments jumped out at me. The first was how many of the comments were from Southeast Asian users, usually from Indonesia or the Philippines. The second was a status update from May 1st, 2025. In a relationship. And the top comment was, "But what about me?" by Anna Bozovic. Anna Bozovic died on May 3rd, 2023. She was one of the students that Kecmanovic shot in the hallway on his way to the classroom. Out of morbid curiosity, I went to the Anna profile. This one popped up around April of 2025. Like with the Mara account, there were dozens of likes and comments from the very first post onward. Checking out the photos, some of them looked a little questionable, but I think it's because of a filter put on them. I don't think it's AI. On the friends list was another account for Anna. That profile was locked, so I couldn't really do anything, but on that second account's friends list was a bunch of other accounts named after the victims of the shooting. Among them were Sofia Negic, Angelina Ashimovic, Katarina Martinovic, Andrea Chikic, Emma Kubilski, Adriana Dukic, and Bojana Asovic. That was every single victim except for the security guard, Dragan Vlahovic. I checked the friends list of a bunch of the impersonator accounts, and there just wasn't an account for him. It was only the children. And to the surprise of nobody at this point, there was an account for the shooter, too. Several, actually. All of these accounts were created around the anniversary of the shooting, give or take about a month, either in 2024 or 2025. They showed consistent activity throughout 2024, but only a few were still actively posting as of the making of this video. The ones that are still posting have deviated into posting photos of other people and other things, but occasionally still upload content about the shooting and the victims. The account for Sofia Negic was one of the oldest. First posting on May 9th, 2024. The first Anna account I mentioned before also claimed to be in a relationship with this account of Sofia. Like with the others, there were a lot of comments and likes on this account's posts. Here's an account for Emma Kubilski. This one was interesting because it started off as another impersonation account, but then it was posting photos of an Asian girl and cats. It's like they gave up the act halfway through and forgot to change the name. I also went through a few of the profiles that were liking and commenting on the photos. There were a few regulars, and almost all of them who had locations public were from Southeast Asia. Some of the comments were also written in Indonesian. It wasn't just on Facebook either. On forevermissed.com, a site for creating online memorials, the pages dedicated to Mara and Boyana both had recent comments that were written in Indonesian. But I'm going to give this website the benefit of the doubt because nobody is being impersonated here, and there's an outpour of love from people all over the world. It was also the same commenter for both Indonesian comments. Back on Facebook, many of these commenters seemed like real people too. They posted about other things, had plenty of friends, and their accounts, most of them, dated back before 2023. Reddit user AnFerny139 uploaded screenshots of what they found on the profiles when they checked them out a few weeks before I did. Quote, "At first, I thought it was her actual profile, but I was soon unpleasantly surprised to discover that there is a whole series of fake Facebook profiles impersonating the murdered children, including the shooter, Kosta Kecmanovic, among others. The content on these profiles is also quite disturbing and confusing. Many of them have other similar profiles in their friends lists. I'm not sure whether all the profiles are made by the same person or by a group of different people, but I've noticed a kind of fan page or roleplay dynamic. For example, one of the murdered girls' profiles is listed as being in a relationship with the shooter's profile. Apparently, the Mara account I showed you earlier used to say that it was in a relationship with Kecmanovic. Specifically, this account of Kecmanovic. This was the most active account that went by his name. It started back in June 2024. Its post history was a mix of real photos of him and edited videos of the victims. Very recently, it uploaded a photo of someone who isn't the shooter. It looks like an Asian person, so maybe a celebrity or a model? I'm not sure, so if anyone recognizes this person, leave a comment. I only raise this point about celebrities and models because earlier in 2025, around February, this account was gushing over a Russian influencer. As far as I know, that Russian influencer is still alive. Let's go back to Mara Angelkovich for a moment. I had to look up how to pronounce each of the students' names, and among the search results were TikTok videos about the shooting. A lot of them were some variation of this. Some were written in first person, like if the victims themselves were saying or thinking these lines. The profiles uploading these videos made content exclusively about the shooting victims. I noticed that Mara came up more often than any of the other victims. In the comments of one of these videos, a TikTok user wrote, "Mara didn't do anything wrong to Costa." The creator, who went by Emma Kubilski, replied, "People say she's a bully, and the only reason she was on the death list was that the shooter liked her and asked her out, and she said no, and he got mad at her." It's a TikTok comment section, and with no source, so I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. Whoever this person is, though, they were able to get their hands on graphic photos of the aftermath of the shooting. And apparently, it was no small effort. As Anferni on Reddit put it, "I'm someone from the Balkans, and I can assure you that the media covered this story day and night. But I've never seen such photos and didn't even believe they existed. I have no idea how something like this could have gone viral." This TikTok profile's description read, "Andrea Chikic, Emma Kubilski, Sofia Negic, 7 others. This has to be stopped now." It looked like they were paying tribute through shock value. Maybe this was the reason for the TikTok content. But on Facebook, with profiles impersonating the shooter and having it interact with profiles of the victims? I don't think so. Now for the burning question. Why? Why impersonate the victims? Why not pay respects by leaving a note on their memorials or writing to their families? Keep in mind that none of the comments are blatantly disrespectful. Nothing that would look out of place if you wrote it on any other deceased person's page. But if we add the context of the accounts impersonating the victims and the shooter, and the meme edit style of videos, it comes across as morbid, creepy, and disrespectful of the victims, regardless of the intention. Shock value has its place in true crime. It's important for people to see what happened and be aware so that they think to themselves, never again. This should never happen again. So could this whole thing be an attempt to convey the shock and horror of the shooting? This was Serbia's first and only school shooting. Well, the Facebook accounts were just interacting with each other, so I don't think so. With the TikTok account, I guess you could use that logic because one of the accounts, Costa Victims, has almost 70,000 followers. So what about all the people who regularly commented on the impersonator accounts? Is commenting on almost every single post by an account impersonating a murder victim a healthy outlet for grief? The term pathological grief by proxy isn't a formal diagnosis. It's an intense, obsessive mourning response to the death of a person not directly related to the one mourning. I'm sure most of you have heard of Munchausen syndrome by proxy before. The phrase by proxy means the fixation is on something or someone else. Sound familiar? I'm not a doctor, this is not a diagnosis, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Another explanation came from Reddit. Quote, I'm from the Balkans too, so I usually stay away from this topic. It's just creepy and disturbing. But I'll add one more little thing. If you ever want to dive into something really messed up, look into the weird true crime role-playing scene on Facebook, especially with Indonesian accounts. There's this whole subculture where people romanticize killers and victims, sometimes without really understanding the context, and they turn real tragedies into some kind of twisted fan fiction. It's not just Indonesia either. There's a broad obsession with true crime in parts of Asia, especially Southeast Asia. Some people create entire fake accounts, edit photos and videos, and even write fake love stories around real crimes. It's honestly surreal and seriously disturbing. Well, that actually explained a lot. As a reminder, most of the comments were by users from Southeast Asia, mainly Indonesia and the Philippines. To me, this explanation checks out. The profiles, the commenters, the videos are all playing a part in a fantasy. And if the recent photos on one of the Emma accounts are anything to go by, some of the people behind this are probably quite young, not old enough yet to understand the full context. I've come across similar occurrences like this before, but nothing to the size and scale of the Belgrade shooting victims. I wonder how many people out there are in on it. On a better note, Serbia has not had a mass shooting since 2023. Peace and strength to the families and friends of the Belgrade school shooting victims. They were all taken too soon. It's honestly surprising that this whole thing was hiding in plain sight. A lot of the profiles just went unnoticed throughout 2024 when they were most active. Some things just slip past the radar, whether by luck or by careful design. For something else that might be hiding in plain sight, check out my video on Cinderella, a UFO cult that vanished 20 years ago. Thank you for watching.